killings are up 50% from before COVID. Where is this coming from?
Remember, in Georgia, we were open up before the rest of the country. So our nightclubs and our bars remain open. We had people traveling here from across the country to party in our city. We believe that getting at least 1,000 young people to work this summer will help, but there is still so much work to be done. And until we deal with the systemic issues of gun violence in this country, how easily young people with mental illnesses can access guns in this country.
That's Atlanta's mayor pointing blame for her city's surging crime rate. Our next guest firing back, calling out the left's anti-police soft on crime agenda.
Georgia Governor Brian Kemp joins us right now with more. Governor, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
So she's blaming everybody except her policies. You know, she's talking about, well, we were, thanks to your policies, Georgia reopened before a lot of other places. And she's saying that's why there's such a surge in crime. But you look to the state to the south of you, Florida, I don't see similar numbers there.
Well, look, Colorado, Oklahoma, there were plenty of other states. South Dakota was open. You know, people are tired of leaders blaming somebody else for problems that they have in their own jurisdiction, quite honestly. I know I'm fed up with it. For 2 months, we've had a crime suppression unit working using extra state resources, emergency funding to try to help with the problem, because I hear about it every single day. Yeah. And in just 2 months, by putting boots on the ground, officers on the street and in the air, and working with state and local partnerships, we've done almost 3,100 arrests. We've apprehended 71 people who had outstanding warrants, and we've impounded almost 300 vehicles going after street crimes. And we're not blaming that on anybody else. We're just doing something about it, and it's time that she did as well.
Well, if you look at Buckhead, murders up almost 50%, which is that neighborhood in downtown Atlanta. Robberies, aggravated assaults up nearly 40%. Car thefts up 65%. Lenox Square Mall, gunfire at the Cheesecake Factory. Macy's employee shot. Gun battle outside of Bloomingdale's. In April, a 60-year-old woman severely beaten in the parking lot, and they took her purse. A few weeks ago, 2 15-year-olds shot and almost killed a security guard at the Apple store. What's the real reason for all of this crime?
Hey, look, people shouldn't be scared because they want to simply go get gas in broad daylight. Yeah. We focused on Buckhead this weekend. We stayed out late. You know, the bars have been, or at least some bars have been associated with a lot of these gatherings of a lot of people. Well, you know what? We were policing those when they closed this weekend, and it was very effective tactic. In fact, the Atlanta Police Department was thanking us for their partnership over the weekend. You know, we've got to start tackling the problem where it happens. They know where it is. They need someone to back their law enforcement agency up, back the men and women on the street up, and give them direction to go after these folks and send a message. That's what I've told our folks. We've got a great partnership with the Atlanta Police Department, but they're having to ride with us because they can't chase anybody. It's hard to go after violent criminals when they run away from you. You can't chase them. You obviously have to be very smart about that. You know, I think there's a lot of reasons that you could potentially have this happening, but the fact is there's one way to stop it, and that's to go after them and send a message and say, look, we're not going to put up with this anymore. And, you know, the judicial system in Fulton County is a source of problem with this as well, with the revolving door of these career criminals continuing to get out of jail the next day, and we're chasing them again.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers are stunning, and we went over in the first hour, in case you missed it. Atlanta homicides are up 58%, shootings up 40%, New York City 13%, shootings up 64%. The most egregious, Portland, we've been watching it. It's up 533%, with shootings up 126%. It's very consistent. It's a very permissive attorney general, district attorney, and a mayor who blames the cops first, and crime is just a symptom of bad policing. No one's buying it. It's not making the average person safe, and I just wonder when the backlash will begin. But I want to talk about something else. When we talk about elections, obviously the former president's very critical of you guys for what happened after the election. Obviously, there's still a conflict there. But one thing that happened over the weekend is that going through the voter rolls between unresponsive people, people moving, unable to validate IDs. You've removed 100,000 outdated names from your voter rolls. People are saying that's an example of voter suppression. What's your answer to that?
Well, Brian, first of all, let me just say back to the last topic, the new Fulton County Sheriff and the new district attorney, thankfully, are supportive of going after violent crime. So I want to make that point. Look, us making sure the voter rolls are updated and secure, list maintenance, we're following federal law in this state. I did that for 9 years when I was Secretary of State. The left was outraged as well. They act like nobody ever moves out of the state and doesn't notify the Secretary of State's office that they're moving. So I think it's pertinent for the Secretary of State's office to be following federal law when it comes to list maintenance and keeping our rolls updated. You also need to remove deceased voters and things of that nature. This has been practiced not only in Georgia, but many other states around the country. And it's just another example of these hollow talking points of the Democrats that are really being hypocritical. If you think about Stacey Abrams, who said our new voting law was Jim Crow 2.0, a month and a half ago, and now she's saying things like 15 days of early voting and voter identification when you vote are perfectly fine when it's Joe Manchin's bill and it's a compromise at the federal level. Well, they can't have it both ways.
I know.
In Georgia, it's easy to vote and hard to cheat.
There you go. New York's just wrapping up early voting here. I think they only had 7 days. You got twice as many down in Georgia. Governor, real quick, I don't know how much time you spend on Twitter, but Herschel Walker, the legendary football player, put this out, and we want you to kind of figure out what he's talking about. Look here.
Hey, what you hear there is Hulk. That's what I call him. He's ready. I'm getting ready. And we can run with the big dogs.
So either he's going to open a car dealership or he's going to run for office. What do you think?
Well, one thing about Herschel, he's a damn good dog, great American, but you also never know what he's going to do. He keeps people thinking, and, I'm sure a lot of people saw that and are wondering, what he's going to do. But one thing about Herschel, he's an independent person. He'll do what he feels is right in his heart and his mind, and we'll see what happens.
All right. You want him to run?
Well, look, I think he brings a lot to the table. Running statewide in this environment's very tough, as you know, and, you got to have it in your heart. You got to have it in your gut, and that's a decision that he will have to make.
He is so loved throughout the country, but especially in your state.
Right.
I think he's going to do it. Thank you so much, Governor.
Have a great day.
You too.